everyone, to the latest edition of the Get Up and Go Show. I'm Anne Marie of the Art of Healing, and I have the extreme pleasure of introducing you to a young man that I met last summer. His name is Simon Esler. He is a father, a truther, and a metaphysical minister. And I'm just so excited to bring him on. So without any further ado, let us welcome Simon Esler. Welcome, Simon, to the Get Up and Go Show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to have you. So we met, we met online like a lot of people do, but then we actually got to meet each other in person out in California. Do you remember that?
Yeah, beautiful. At Dimensions of Disclosure.
Dimensions of Disclosure. I was coming off of a arduous day of traveling, and it was like 1:30 in the morning California time, and I walk into the lobby of this hotel and there you stand, and I looked at your face because I remember faces. I'm an artist. I'm very visual, so I was like, I know your face. I know who you are. And it was so great. And so anyway, enough of me talking.
That was great. It was nice. It was like I got to meet so many people in person for the first time at that event, which is normally what those events are so great for.
Oh, yeah. And I think that particular one was very special. Like,
yeah.
Very, very, very special. But before we get talking about our fun stuff, I want you to please tell us who you are. Tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I am a metaphysical minister and a full disclosure activist and a father and a healer and an actor. Those are the ways I spend most of my time.
Can I just say that that's exactly what I do too. Like, even the acting part, even the performing part, I've been acting and singing my entire life.
Great.
I
it's so nice. Hey, you must be missing it as well with the whole quarantine thing. There's no theater.
You know what I've been doing lately is just mostly vocal singing. I've been a professional soprano most of my life, and my adult life anyway. And actually, I've been with this beautiful choir, this local community choir, and our director actually died of COVID. He had a lot of respiratory problems, but yeah, like our whole season, we were supposed to perform in Carnegie Hall again.
Wow.
Can't do it. Yeah,
it's a bummer. I was doing a regular murder mystery dinner theater.
Fun.
2 or 3 times a week, and I miss it so much.
It's tough, right? I mean, we're creative, beautiful beings, aren't we? I mean, we're creative beings. Yes,
absolutely. Honestly, if it wasn't for the work that I was doing, that I'm doing with Edge of Wonder, like I wouldn't have a creative outlet. I would actually be going a little bit crazy right now. So that's kept me sane and balanced.
I mean, totally. I mean, why do you think Spirit got me to do this show? Because I'm a ham. It's part of who I am, you know? It's like, I can't teach my children anymore. I can't goof off in front of my classrooms anymore because of this COVID. So I needed something. Thank you, Spirit. I'm just realizing, you know, that's like allowing me not to explode, you know, creatively, right?
Absolutely. Even before this all happened, when I would miss like a couple weeks of performance work, I would notice my mental health decline, like right away.
Oh my gosh.
Right away. You know, and it made me realize that it's absolutely essential to have creative outlets. It's a need. It's not even just a want. It's a true need.
Absolutely.
And we are meant to be that way, right? Human beings are meant to be creators. That's just fundamentally what's going on.
You know, I'm going to switch the format. I hope it comes okay. I realized I didn't put us in gallery view.
Sure.
There we go. Do you see anything different? Because I have no idea what the other person sees.
For me, it's the same. It's just been the two of us on screen like this the whole time.
Ah, okay. So for the audience, I guess you're going to see the two. I don't know. This is a grand experiment. All right, we'll find out. I don't claim to be an expert at this. I'm just, enjoying and having fun and learning as I go. So, anywho, okay, hun. So keep going. Tell me. Keep talking.
Yes. So my work as a metaphysical minister is connected to my certification as a life cycle celebrant. So I trained in the art of custom ceremony creation. So that was about studying the history and the elemental structure of ceremony and ritual and the role they've played throughout humanity's history, and how through humanity's current disillusionment, there's been a decline in ritual and ceremony because people have become disillusioned with, traditional religion and dogmatic, approaches to spirituality. And so as a celebrant, we're very much advocates that we need to bring back ceremony, bring back ritual in those ways, but it doesn't need to carry the baggage of some of those dogmatic ways of living. So I was trained in that. So part of my practice is performing custom wedding ceremonies, where I meet a couple and they fill out a huge questionnaire for me, and then I take all their answers in the questionnaire and I weave that into an original ceremony for them. So that was how I got started in terms of my certification as a metaphysical minister, because the Celebrant Foundation and Institute that I trained with was connected to the Bancroft Center for Awakening Spiritual Growth. And so it was through them that I ended up at the Bancroft Center, and that's where I finished my studies and got ordained as a metaphysical minister.
So can you tell us where is this center? Because tell us where you live.
I'm in Toronto, up in Canada, and Bancroft is a couple hours north of here. So it's out in a much more sort of woodsy cottage country type area. It's very, very beautiful. I went out there for my ordainment. And the Celebrant Foundation and Institute, that was through an online learning module that they had set up, but I believe they're based in New Jersey. Really amazing. And they do training not just for custom wedding ceremonies, but for all types of ceremony across the life cycle. So they also train people in, creating ceremonies for births. You could do divorce ceremonies, house blessings, all these different things, where the essential idea is that humans, we need ceremony to either bring us through a change or transformation, or to anchor us where we are in life. And that these are important psychological tools for us as we move through the life cycle. And that if you go through a big change in your life and you don't create any ceremony around it, you don't get as much from the change. You can't digest it in a healthy way. So those kinds of conscious structures, they serve a very important purpose. They have in humanity's history, and I believe they need to play more as we sort of come into our spirituality and ditch all that baggage,
I can't even, I'm just sitting here in awe, because it so resonates with me. Like it really, really does. And I'm sorry, but another parallel similarity. I used to do weddings all the time, not officiate. Although I am a minister myself, and I can officiate a wedding. I haven't been asked to yet, but I hope so in the future. But I used to be, as the singer, I used to do all the steps and meet with the couples and choose their readings for them, because I used to sing in the Catholic Church. I was a cantor and music director, music minister in the Catholic Church for most of my adult life. And I actually sang at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. That was on the altar there. So it was like a big, I've been doing this a long time. It was a huge part of my life to serve God and to, share my gifts and talents, so it's, I'm still doing it, and I still love it, and it's still wonderful.
Beautiful.
But wow, very similar. I'm going to look into that, because that sounds beautiful. I always felt very comforted by the rituals in the church.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very beautiful thing,
Absolutely. It's so supportive, and it's such a shame that so much of that has been lost because of people's trauma with religion.
Yeah.
It's really tough. Like, a lot of people associate ritual and ceremony now with kind of manipulative, dark behavior.
Right.
People also, they'll associate it with the occult, as well. because there's a lot of ritual and ceremony in sort of the dark occult
Yeah.
information, and people make this false correlation when really ritual and ceremony they're neutral. They're just tools,
Hmm.
and they can be applied in a variety of different ways. So it was a very interesting training for me. Like the Celebrant Foundation does really amazing work because they really break down your understanding of what has always been there through
Hmm.
all rituals and all ceremonies throughout human history. What elements have always been there, and then once you get those elements, then it's just a matter of playing with them and meeting people where they're at.
I'm just writing this down.
Yeah, you would
Celebrant
appreciate it.
Foundation, because let's put the link in the video below, because I
Yeah,
think you're going to light a fire under so many people.
yeah.
Uh, this is just really, really beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. It resonates with me so much. Um, we have lost a lot of that sacred ceremony, and
Hmm.
it is. I'm just getting a little emotional. Woo, stop it. Stop. um, one of the most beautiful things that I did when I was a music minister, and using, my gifts as a vessel for the Holy Spirit, was helping in times of death
Hmm.
and
Yes,
being, dang it, I'm crying. Um,
it's
and
important though.
being, it's very powerful because
Yeah.
uh, I've been in situations where I will be there for the wedding. And in one case, I was there for the wedding of a couple. And a few months later, I was there for the burial of their stillborn infant.
Mm.
Or I will be there at the death of a dear friend. And especially now, what options are people being given?
Yeah, yeah.
They have lost not only the ability to gather and worship, but the ability to touch, the ability to heal, to mourn, to bury, to birth. I saw this thing. I'm sorry.
It's
I
important
tend to
though. No,
do
this is an
this.
important thing. I was talking
Yeah.
with Amanda about this today, that you know w- taking away funeral and funerary rites and those ceremonies, this has put people in a pretty traumatic position, because
Oh,
you may
yeah.
not see someone ever again. If they get COVID, if they die from that, that may be the last time they see that person,
I
right,
mean,
based on the way that things are.
I don't even think it's just from that. I think they've put a stop halt to everything.
Hmm.
Even if you died from a car accident,
It's
you
true, you
know,
can't even hold a funeral anyway.
you can't hold a funeral. You can't gather to mourn. You can't embrace your loved ones. I mean, uh, it's
Yeah.
just such a difficult time. And
But
we,
maybe
yeah.
this will awaken in people the role that ceremony played for them.
I hope so.
Perhaps coming out of this on the other side, I think this is one of the things that this whole, pandemic scenario has created, is it's made it obvious which parts of our system are utterly faulty, are just not working,
Oh
and
yeah.
which parts we really need. And so coming out of this, there's going to be a bit of a rude awakening in terms of, hey, like, what parts are we going to keep from that old system and what parts are we not? And this is, it's good for people to a certain extent to be like, wow, like, we really relied on ceremony for death. We really, really did. I don't think people understand quite quite as much as they should, the role that it really plays for them.
Mhm. In our culture, in our particular Western culture, at least for North America, uh, that ritual is believed. It's. I think it's been skewed quite a bit. It's been used for profit. It's been a little bit manipulated. However, like the ancient traditions, if you talk about, Judaism, you sit Shiva for, and you're with the family for a period of days. So
Yeah.
I think this is not something that is just Christian. This has been around for a very, very long time, and we certainly do need something like that.
You know, I heard some very interesting information I had never heard the other day. It was that basically the whole process of embalming bodies was basically it was all based on false science.
Mhm.
So what happened, I don't know if you know about this, the way that whole industry developed, but basically during the war, they were having trouble, I think it was World War II, they were having trouble dealing with all the bodies. And so people became specialized at embalming, and they would come onto the battlefield and they'd take away these bodies and they would embalm them really quick because this was helping them to deal with the issue of all these bodies. But then when the war ended, these guys still wanted a job. They still wanted an industry. So all these professional embalmers started touring around North America, basically going like door to door and pitching their embalming services. And they founded their whole pitch on fake science, saying that it's a danger to have the body in the house after they've died. That
Wow,
as
I
soon
did
as the
not know
body
that.
dies, it's dangerous and it's unsanitary. When in fact, scientifically, it's the opposite. You are more dangerous to others when you're alive because you have all the living bacteria and viruses. All these things start dying. All those things start dying once your body goes. So the dead body is actually safer than the living one.
So much for quarantining.
Right? So it's so interesting. So that whole industry was not based on any kind of science. And before that, people would stay with the body. They would keep the body in the home. They would take their time, and then the body would leave the home when they were ready. But now there's this rush, like get the body out of the house, get it into the funeral home. And that's all based on this whole industry. So it's very interesting how our rituals around death have been manipulated in certain ways. And again, like we need to shed those things and find what are the authentic rituals that really serve us properly. And you know, there's gonna be a big need for that coming out of this. People are going to need ceremony to process the deaths that have occurred from this. And that's, you know, that it doesn't even have to be related to people who have been listed as COVID deaths. You have an increase in suicides, you have an increase in
Oh my
overdoses,
goodness.
you have, you know, just so many things going on from this. So I think there is going to be a big call for ceremony when this all dissolves.
Wow. What a fantastic topic. I did not expect that for nothing, man.
Me neither. I didn't know that's where I was going to go today.
Woohoo! That's awesome. Thank you, Spirit. Again, that's why we do that's why I'm doing this. This is just absolutely perfect. Another point that we are similar again is that we are in the truther community, and that has its pros and its cons when it comes to your own spiritual health. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to be able to see? Because I'm going to back up because I got to say this about what we experienced over in at the Dimensions of Disclosure. First of all, you were the Sunday morning preacher. Okay, can I say that? Were you not the Sunday morning preacher?
Yeah, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. on Sunday morning, okay?
Yeah.
And it was perfect. You deserve to be there, let me tell you. And the night before, we had attended the big speech of, or was it the night before where Corey Good went and spoke?
Yes.
And people were lining up to that man like he was Jesus Christ. And they were asking him these questions. And I'm saying to myself, people need spiritual knowledge. It's not about the UFOs. It's not about this. They want truth, spiritual truth. And then when you got up there on Sunday morning and you spoke divinely, let me just tell you, my heart sung because I'm a spiritual student. The way that I got to be enlightened is because I started to study A Course in Miracles with a teacher who channels extraterrestrial beings as well, who channels multidimensional and ascended masters and Jesus. And it was a part of the preparation for now. You know, this is
Mm,
a big, big plan. I mean, this is
yeah.
a very large awakening of humanity. And you came to your awakening in one way, I came to my awakening in another. But in this sense, it really blended very, very well. So when I heard you speak, I was like, yes, yes, you understood about pre-birth contracts. You understood about you know, how we have free will, how we choose certain things. You understood vibration. And I was just like, bam, 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 you got it. You should have been the headliner, the first one to talk to people, because there is such a big thirst for
Yeah.
spiritual knowledge.
Absolutely, especially in the truther community, because that's, you know, a lot of the information that people are sorting through is very dark.
Oh yeah.
It's extremely dark, and it can become a bit of a trap where that becomes the attraction to uncover the next dark thing, you
Mhm.
know, to catch darkness in the act. There's an attraction to that, but that actually, you know, that can really take people off their path, uh, because that has its own vibration to it, and if you're constantly immersed in that, then you know that's what you're tuning into. So you have to be very mindful, and this is something I'm really like I'm trying to improve all the time, that you only want to be exploring that material to the extent that it brings you to lightness, that it brings you to deeper sense of service, that it helps you understand where humanity is caught. But you don't want to go past that point, you know. And I think, you know, that's for each person to decide, but there's the temptation to go so far into the rabbit hole that then you're just immersed in that, and it starts to reduce your ability to be of service, and it reduces your natural lightness and your levity that you should be able to bring to your
Mhm.
situations. So, you know, that's a tough balance to strike. And I watch, you know, the truther community struggle with that constantly.
Yeah.
And when I created my presentation at Dimensions of Disclosure, it was very much about, okay, how can I bring together enough of this ufology material and infuse it with the spiritual understandings that are really important, and that really do help people find meaning. And, you know, the way people absorb information the best is when it has tangible meaning for them. Our memories work better. When something has deep meaning within our lives, we absorb it deeply. Our memories are like sponges. And so I think this is one of the tricky things, is that you can study ufology and conspiracy and all these things, but how much meaning does it actually have for you in your life, in your capacity to be of service? We all need to be asking that question. You know, find what's meaningful, but don't go beyond that.
Yeah. I was driving to work one morning, and I usually channel when I drive, believe it or not. And if you ever take a chance to go through my YouTube channel, you'll see me with my coat and jacket and the steering wheel. And that's when I get communication from my guides. They're called the highway guides. And I remember one time specifically, I was listening to Laura Eisenhower interview um, somebody, forgot his last name. Anyway, it was really, his story was so fantastic, so fantastical, uh, and very difficult to listen to, even for a seasoned truther. And I've known about satanic abuse for years before I even became a part of this movement, because of my, I would say, curiosity, right? My curiosity being a Catholic, you get curious about possession, and then you go down that way. Long story short, my spirit was intervening basically, and they were stopping the video for me, and they were basically, stopping me from listening to this recording. And I was like, I've got a message here. So I turned on my recorder, and what they basically said was, it's important to have an awareness of what is out there. But the second that you take it beyond that, it becomes the ego. It becomes a desire for the ego to learn more salacious details, and to learn and to get more shocked and to get more awed. And we live in a culture where that is the entertainment. We are shocked and awed all the time.
Yeah.
So we're battling all this programming that we have, and we're not taking into account our vibration. We're not taking into account a real need. I mean, do I really need to know what this poor man went through?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, so it was a very interesting channeling.
Yeah, that's a deeply personal process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important for all of us, because we're seeing a lot of ego build up in this community. I've had to become very selective of who I listen to. Very, very selective. And, we are all aiming for the same thing. But in essence, it's our own personal ascension. It's our own personal path that we need to focus on,
Yeah, we have to take personal responsibility for our entire life.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take responsibility for every single part of your life. And that's the only way forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very difficult thing for people to reconcile, that you're responsible for every single part of your life. And there's no way around it, It's hard to reconcile, but there's a great amount of power to be gathered if you can walk that path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about what is your real get up and go motivation. Talk to us as the man Simon, and what motivates you to be the amazing person that you really are.
Well, I mean, I've had some experiences in my life that brought me to a very direct knowing of oneness.
Mm.
So when I was in my 20s, I went through a very, very strong awakening experience where on a number of instances, my sense of individual identity became transparent enough that I became fully aware that I was everything around me.
Mm.
And those experiences built upon a desire to be of service that has always been very, very strong in me. So even when I was a little kid, I very, very strongly wanted to help my family and to be a mediator. And I was always trying to calm down arguments. And that was just like my nature. So having, I guess, that sense of service be met by these vast spiritual experiences, it really ignited for me a sense of direction. And this was interesting because I didn't have a career in that area early in my life. I just started meditating because I needed to. There were so many things happening to me spiritually that I could not make sense of. And they really could have become traumatic if I didn't start regularly meditating to actually understand, why does my body feel full of light? Why do I feel these spinning things opening in me? Like I really didn't quite know what was going on. So I started meditating very, very devoutly. And there was just such a profound shift in me that people around me just started asking if they could come and learn what I was doing, because they were quite surprised at the way it had impacted me and the way it was enabling me to move through big life challenges. And so from there, I just started inviting friends, which eventually, became inviting clients, and just started teaching people to meditate and doing either guided meditation or doing gazing exercises with people, and just sort of built that up naturally. And I guess that was me becoming a metaphysical minister before I was ordained as a metaphysical minister. So
Wow.
It was incredible to find that title even existed, because I was like, wow, this is really actually what I've been doing all along. Finding the metaphysical sort of I guess undergirding of everything, and being able to reveal that for others, so that it's like I said earlier, so that whatever their life circumstances, they can find meaning. And if they can find that meaning, then they can absorb what's really going on. They can remember the lesson and they can proceed with the wisdom. But people sometimes just need help uncovering the meaning. Uh, and it's not that there's always like deep meaning. Sometimes life is just hard and you just leave it there.
Mhm. Mhm.
But this became an important part of my journey. So once I actually gathered that title, it was really just finding something I had been doing for a long, long time. And I'm very, very grateful for having come into that knowing, because it's helped me to be of service. It's helped crystallize my offering, you know?
Yeah. But you have kids, don't you? You have young children?
Yes. So I have my son Asher and my son Idris. Asher is 5. Idris will be 2 in a month.
Oh. I
And
mean,
yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I love my kids so much, and we homeschool. So
good.
that was a certain good thing in terms of the whole quarantine, because we were already homeschooling, and it has still been very difficult being home all the time. But uh, homeschooling our kids was like one of the best decisions we ever made,
Mm.
hands down. So much work, but so important to us.
Yeah, one of the things that is probably going to come out of all of this is that parents are going to realize that there's a great benefit to being in charge of their children's education. It's
Yep,
a great,
it's
great
huge. I
benefit.
hope it helps the homeschooling movement. I really
Yeah.
do, because it's very important. It's a very important way of undoing a lot of the mind control and all that stuff all the social engineering that's been embedded in our society. Homeschooling is an excellent opportunity to undo a lot of that. And that was something that my partner and I realized very early on. And so we made the initial decision to homeschool based on our own research and
Mm.
on the actual psychological environment that the public school sets up, which I fundamentally believe that the psychological environment that the public system utilizes undermines a child's desire to learn. And that's the most tragic thing, is that children are born with an intrinsic desire to seek the truth, to seek knowledge. And when they come out of the schooling system, that has been taken from them, and they're told that the reason to get knowledge is to get grades, is to get a job, blah, blah, blah. And so everything becomes externalized, when really they were born with this seeking sense. And, when you have really young children, you see it. They want to learn everything. And that you want to keep that intact. And so, come hell or high water, like that's our goal. Keep that intrinsic desire to learn alive in our children, and try not to let it get damaged, because that's what the public system often does to children. And people don't understand this because it's subtle. It has nothing to do with evil or bad teachers or corrupt people. It's a subtle thing.
I am a public school educator. That's what I do
Hmm.
for a living. And
My mom was a teacher for 35 years.
yeah, and it has become, especially in these last 2 years, I've been doing it for 11, 12 years now. It's my second or third, fourth, and fifth career, I have to tell you. But it's hard. It's hard for me as an awoke person
Yep.
to go in there and tell a child, sit down and stop talking. Um, and it is such a conflict, a spiritual conflict. I've been saying that this quarantine is actually an answer to prayer for me, because
Mm.
this year has been the most difficult year for me teaching elementary K through 5. I'm the art
Wow.
teacher. I see the whole school.
Yep.
And
Yep.
these kids, and for whatever reason, whether it be that the vaccine system, the food poisoning, the whole the just the energies on the planet,
Yeah.
also, man, you could
Yeah.
tell the energies of the planet are affecting these children, whether it be the
Absolutely.
Wi-Fi, whether it be just the Schumann resonance. I sat in my room and I prayed, God, find me a solution. Take me out of this situation somehow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we hit limits, right? I mean, we
I,
all have to work from within the system to a certain extent. We are
yeah,
all in that position. So
absolutely.
we're all trying to find a way to transform the circumstance and to bring it into a higher manifestation. You
Mhm,
know, so we all have to work within a corrupt system. And the idea is, can you avoid being corrupted while working within a corrupt system?
mhm,
And you know what you're talking about is very, you know, this is a very common thing for people, that sometimes people hit a limit where they're, you know, they just know, I cannot participate in this anymore.
yeah.
You know, I have to give my energies to something different. And you know, it's a really amazing thing. I think, given the way the public system was set up, really just initially to create factory workers, like it was all to duplicate factory conditions. That was why
Absolutely.
they had children sitting in rows and lining up. Like the whole thing was designed that way. But thank God for teachers that came in to at least shift it and lighten it and make things better in the small moments, in the genuine interactions with the kids. You know, it's like at least bringing that softened the whole system and really has created miraculous moments. You know, all the best teachers I had were the teachers that went against the system,
Yeah.
who just didn't care.
Hmm.
And they got, you know, blasted and maligned and just like treated so poorly. You know, I had one teacher is such a great teacher, and you know, he had a full mental breakdown. And this was someone who didn't agree with tests. He was not down with testing, you know, and he was about getting out of the classroom and teaching outside in the forest. And you know, he just was really trying to push the limits.
Hmm.
But you see what going against the system can do to people, and you have to learn, you know, where are your boundaries, where are your limits, and where is your service most appropriate. You know, and withdrawal is a tricky practice for people, like spiritually speaking. Knowing when to withdraw is tough, because I think a lot of the time people feel that that must mean they're incapable, or that they've somehow failed their circumstance. But truly, withdrawal from a circumstance can be very wise and loving. And that distinction, I think, is an important one that we need to refine, you know, as a community, as a people.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for that insight. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, Mr. Simon, as you take your beverage, one of the things that I do on my show all the time is I ask my guests to bring a mug and a beverage. So please
Yes.
show us
Oh,
what you
yes.
brought today.
Well, so I just have my water, but I also have this chai drink in this antique mason jar, which says Corona on it.
Corona.
I don't even, it just says improved Corona made in Canada. I don't know. It's an old Corona jar, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Who knows
So
where that
funny. This
came
is my
from, right?
favorite glass, and I really didn't pay attention.
Oh my gosh. Well, out of all the mugs that I chose to bring, I didn't bring a mug. What did I bring? A mason jar.
Well, cheers.
Cheers. And I actually have a beverage. Look, I drink filtered, non-fluorinated water, and I have 1 cup of coffee, and I don't drink any soda except San Pellegrino.
Uh-huh.
I figure it's Italian. Can't be all that bad, you know.
It's true. Actually, a lot of the stuff coming out of Italy is really, really pure, actually. I've
Yeah,
noticed that,
it's
actually.
good stuff. It's really good stuff. I think, it everything is about striking a balance and about, not the second you deny yourself something, that it becomes a burden on you. If you're denying something, then instead of just allowing yourself to just indulge, I'm not saying, drink it every day, all day, but if you want to have something different, it's better to do it than to deny yourself, in my opinion. Just
Yeah, the
saying.
whole shame, blame, and guilt thing, right?
No, that
Not
should
good.
not be a part of our lives anymore. Guilt
No,
and shame and blaming, that is not
no. Serves
It's
no
not a
purpose. It
part of
serves
it.
no purpose. No, it serves
No,
no
none at
purpose.
all.
No,
So
I
it's,
agree. And I think, really the main thing, because it's so controversial what we consume these days, right? Like food consumption in general is so heated. People are so triggered about look at all the debates going on about what to eat. I mean, it's really quite intense right now.
mhm,
But I think the major thing is that we need to learn to listen to the subtleties of our body, that the body is always giving you information in terms of what it needs.
mhm.
But this process is it's kind of like automatic and very subtle. And so the way that the social engineering in our health system has entrained us, it's moved us away from the idea of trusting the feelings in our body and learning to put, different foods and drinks in our body based on exactly how our body feels.
Mhm.
And, this is something I learned a lot from my partner, Amanda, because she went through a whole healing journey. She healed herself with food entirely. She was at
Oh,
death's
wonderful.
door. She was very, very, very sick. Her digestive system was failing her. She was, 100 pounds. She was very unwell, and
Mm,
she went on a healing journey that was all food based. All what she did eat and what she didn't eat brought her back to health.
yeah.
And it was through learning to listen very, very deeply to her body
Mhm.
that this became, a real healing journey and actually brought her back to full health. And so I've been the recipient of her wisdom in that regard, and the ability to listen to the subtle things just coming from your organs, right? Like learning to understand, hey, what does my liver need right now? Like there are ways to read and understand my liver. Because if you think about it, we're taught to sense when we're in pain, right? So we're taught to sense, oh, like I have a stomach ache, or my digestive system doesn't feel good, or my heart doesn't feel good. So we're taught to watch for pain and discomfort. But why are we not taught what it feels like to have a vibrant liver? Why aren't we taught the other end of the spectrum? Why don't you know what it feels like to have healthy organs? Why can we not understand that sensation as much as we can the pain? And that's because we have not been given that information, that we should not just be, don't wait until there's pain to do something, right? We should be able to sense healthy organs in our body and their vibrancy and go from there. Because if you have that baseline, then what you're watching for is, hey, something's feeling out of balance from my normal state of vibrancy. And that's been a really incredible journey to really learn about that, and to sense the information that is arising from the body. And this is where I really think people need to go, and this would end a lot of the crazy food debates,
Mhm.
because there's all the aggressive debating about food, and people sharing articles and scientific revelations and all this stuff. It leaves out the idea that we're not looking for a one size fits all, as much as we are looking for people to become more deeply aware of what
Thank
health
you.
feels like,
Thank you. Yes. Oh
you
my
know
goodness. One of the beautiful things that I've learned to do in my spiritual journey is, and this has also been taught through my spiritual community. Uh, have you ever heard of Tina Spalding?
no.
Tina Louise Spalding. Okay, she's a trans channel and a Course in Miracles teacher. And that's the spiritual practice that I follow. And one of the teachings that she has brought through is a meditation on genuinely thanking the body, thanking this vessel that we inhabit, and going through step by step, going with the bones and then the tendons and then the
Mm,
organs and then the skin and the eyes and the tongue. I mean, it's that's what I'm aware of. That's what I
yeah,
do on a
that's
regular
huge.
basis. And
Right.
I have healed myself from severe acid reflux, heart palpitations, anxiety. I am on no medication whatsoever. And just 5 years ago, I was on a very strong heart drug. I was bloated because I was on omeprazole for stomach acid. I couldn't sing anymore for me that I
Wow.
made my life singing. I couldn't sing because the acid had torn away at my throat, my vocal cords. Um,
Wow.
healing yourself.
Yeah.
Once we are able to disseminate that, not even knowledge, that right, the right that
Yeah.
you have
It's fundamental. Yeah.
the true understanding of your body and what you can do with your thoughts and with your intention. Oh, this is going
I
to be
know.
great. This
It's
new earth is
huge.
going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. These little fundamental things will sweep the planet, right? You
My
think
God.
body awareness, just body awareness
Yes.
going around the planet.
Oh,
It's huge.
this is exciting. You know, Simon, this has been one of the most exciting interviews that I have given so far. It is really invigorating me and giving me a lot of get up and go, let me tell you. So tell us, Simon, where can we learn about what you're doing and where can people get a hold of you?
Yes, so you can find me on Facebook, Simon Esler 1111. I am also on Instagram under the same. I am on Twitter at Simon Esler, and I have a YouTube channel for Simon Esler as well. And if you'd like to see my TV show, I have a show on edgeofwonder.tv. It airs every Wednesday. It's called Worlds Within, where I basically explore suppressed information and bring forward the spiritual teachings that surround it, and sort of tie all that information together in a way that uplifts people towards their true heart's path. So yeah, check out edgeofwonder.tv if you want to come see my show. You can also check out my Dimensions of Disclosure talk, which is on my YouTube channel.
Good, good.
Yep, so that's available if people want to check that out. And yeah, I love it when people
Isn't there a retreat that you're doing, or?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So I'm doing Camp Disclosure,
Okay.
August 27th to 31st. That's going to be in Flat Rock, North Carolina. I can't wait. I have my cat here visiting.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
it's really going to be amazing because this is going to be one of, the first big like light worker gatherings coming out of this whole insane coronavirus narrative. And it's going to be very important for us to gather at that time. And just as we spoke about in the beginning, this is going to give an opportunity for ceremony, for ritual, to process what we have all gone through. And when we come together physically, we can do a lot to process what we've been through and what humanity has been through, and really transform it and uplift it into something that can change this planet for the better. So I'm really excited to be doing that. I'm going to be doing a presentation. I'm going to be doing a workshop. I think my workshop's going to focus on the art of gazing. I'm going to help people learn about internal and external gazing and how to use the magic of your eyes to find more subtle, more elevated states of being. And I'll also be teaching a kids yoga class because this is going to be a family-friendly event. So
How wonderful.
I'm certified as a kids yoga teacher, and I really love making kids meditations. So I can't wait to do that.
You know, Simon, I have to interrupt because I've just been given a shiver and I'm bursting a little bit. And I told you that I channel, so
Yeah.
I got the nudge. Okay. So
Okay.
this is for you and for those watching. Eres turukuyu, turukutana merikatere utra matreke. Hiasa shatutra ke hetu ayetere. Kiana materikaya teruotu, eturkasatare kiatarku. Meritiatara ke hetu, eresia tutrukute, tirakatare weatatarkame. Chatuti hoyetreka. Meto herokatria tatakarata. Merititia turukuesia shotutria tutreka materia, utre hateri, itra matre, ketruusa shotutre ketaria tutra. God bless you, Simon. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Oh, my pleasure.
It just like bursts out through the heart chakra, through the upper heart chakra. That's what I just get this, this like.
Beautiful.
Oh man, knocks me over with a feather. I'm still in awe of all this stuff that happens on this path that I've been on, and I know you know what it means when you feel things in your physical body that you just have no, you know, you're like, okay,
Yes, our
let it
bodies
rip.
are antenna. These bodies are antenna. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. All right, sweetheart. Really great to see you. Did we cover everything?
Yes, I think so. And for people who are interested, please check out campdisclosure.com
Yep.
for tickets for the speaker lineup. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. We recently brought on James Gilliland from
Yep.
ESETI Ranch. So
Yep.
I really look forward to working with him and collaborating with him. So
Yep.
yeah, check out campdisclosure.com and come find me on Facebook or Instagram or any of those and come
Awesome.
chat.
Awesome. Well, terrific. Thanks again. And you've given me so much things to get up and go do. Yay!
Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye.